What's good, everyone? Welcome to the Pokeball YouTube channel. I'm Dan Spielvogel, and checking in today, we're going to talk about the NBA Play-In Tournament. That's right, we have 4 different games that are in the Play-In Tournament, and then to determine to get the final 2 seeds in the East and West. So let's start off with Tuesday's games, which are just going to feature the Western Conference playing the 7 versus 8 and the 9 versus 10 game. Then on Wednesday, you have the Eastern Conference. And then on Friday would be the loser of the 7-8 and the winner of the 9-10 playing each other. All right. So we're going to start off with the West. We have the New Orleans Pelicans as the number 7 seed. They're hosting the 8 seed LA Lakers. Okay. So the Pelicans played the Lakers actually yesterday, and the Lakers won handily, 124-108. So the Lakers actually beat the Pelicans 3 out of 4 times in the regular season, and all 4 games were actually blowouts. There was actually the closest margin was yesterday's game. That was a 16-point game. So all 4 games have been blowouts. And the Lakers, obviously, I think that this is a team that definitely has the talent to win, to make the playoffs here. And I think that if they can beat the Pelicans here on the road, the Lakers on the road, not as good as they are at home. The Lakers are actually under 500 on the road. They're 19-21 on the road. And yes, they did beat the Pelicans on the road yesterday, but they're gonna have to do it again in a 3-day period. That is very tough to do. The Pelicans, on the other hand, they're not good at home, and they are 21-19 on their home floor, and they're a much better road team than they are at home. In fact, the Pelicans actually have the best road record in the entire NBA, even better than the Celtics, actually. So, being this game in New Orleans, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, a little revenge game for AD. And you have guys like D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves that can put the ball in the basket. It's a tough opening round matchup for the Pelicans. Pelicans are a very solid defensive team. They're a top 10 in the NBA in defense. They defend the 3-point line very well. They're actually second in the NBA in defending the 3-point line. Only the Houston Rockets defend the 3-point line better than the Pelicans. I mean, you have these guys like Herb Jones and Trey Murphy that are very good defenders. And then you have Zion Williamson. Brandon Ingram is actually back from injury, and CJ McCollum. They have 3 different 20-point scorers that they can hit you with as well. And I think definitely Willie Green can definitely adjust from that butt kicking that he took yesterday, and try to make sure that they get that 7 seed. The winner of this game gets Denver. And in this game, I'm going to take the Lakers over the Pelicans, and they're going to go face the Nuggets in the 7 and as the 7 seed, and face the Denver Nuggets in the first round. And then we got the 9 versus 10. We got the Sacramento Kings taking on the Golden State Warriors, and the loser of this game will be eliminated from the postseason and get the 10 seed and head to the lottery. So this is an interesting matchup between the Kings and Warriors. And this was a split in the regular season, 2 games apiece. Okay, so each team went 1-1 at home, and unlike the Pelicans Lakers series, all 4 of these games were really close, including 3 of them were by 1 point. So the last 3 meetings between these 2 teams were decided by 1 point, and the Kings won 2 out of those 3 that were decided by 1 point. And the other one was the Warriors winning at Sacramento by 8 points in the first meeting that they played back in October. So this is going to be a good matchup for sure. I think this matchup is better than the first matchup that I discussed. And the Kings definitely have a very talented roster. You have De'Aaron Fox averaging about 26.5 a game. Domantas Sabonis led the NBA in rebounding, 13.5 rebounds per game. I believe Monk's been injured though, which is kind of concerning. He's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks, which is a tough loss because he is arguably their best bench player, and he comes off and provides instant offense off the bench. And Keegan Murray's shown a lot of improvement as well. And this is a Kings team that they definitely have the talent to beat the Warriors, and they've beaten the Warriors in the regular season even though they were both by 1 point, they definitely have the skill level to hang with them, and especially on their home floor, where the Kings are actually, they're actually better at home than they are on the road. They're 24-17 at home, and compared to 22-19 away from home. The Golden State Warriors, on the other hand, this is the Warriors team that is hard to count out. Steph Curry's gonna play well, and he averages 26.5 per game. Klay Thompson is now coming off the bench, and he's actually played a lot better since coming off the bench than he was as a starter. And then you have Jonathan Kuminga showing a lot of improvement from last year to this year, averaging about 16 a game. And then Andrew Wiggins is just a big disappointment, only 13 a game. So they only have 4 different double-digit scorers. And then I just feel like the Kings, I think, are the better team in this matchup, and I like them at home. Even though the Warriors have been good on the road, they've actually done a good job. They're 25-16 away from home compared to 21-20 at home. So I'm gonna go with the Kings over the Warriors, and they're gonna knock out the Warriors. So then we got the Pelicans and Kings that I have for that matchup for the 8 seed battle. And I'm gonna take the New Orleans Pelicans. I think they're very talented for an 8 seed. And I know the Kings are good too, which should make for a good matchup. But I think the Pelicans, I think their defense is gonna win the day here. And I think this is also a good 3-point shooting team, the Pelicans are. And I think that they can force enough turnovers to win this game and just hold those guards in check. And I gotta go with New Orleans as the 8 seed to face the Oklahoma City Thunder. So now let's go into the Eastern Conference. We got the 7 seed, the Philadelphia 76ers, hosting the number 8 seed, the Miami Heat. And in the regular season, this series was a split 2-2.
Sure.
It was the Heat won the first 2 matchups, and the 76ers won the last 2 matchups. And all these games were relatively close, between 4 and 7 points was the deciding fact, about the score margin. So all 4 of these games were actually pretty tight, which should make for a good matchup here in Philadelphia. Both teams went 1-1 against each other, home and road, in this series in the regular season. And Joel Embiid actually only played in one of the 4 matchups that they played in. And the only time he played was the last game that they played back on April 4th. And the 76ers won in Miami that day, 109-105. Joel Embiid, he is back from injury. He is playing well. In those 39 games that he has actually played in, 34.5 points per game. And he also kills it at home. In fact, Joel Embiid averages almost 36 points per game in home games this year. And he's played in 24 home games. So he's at home, gets that Philly crowd involved, and it's going to be a long day for the Miami Heat. And Tyrese Maxey's had a fantastic season, breakout year in year 2, 25.9 points per game and 6 assists per game too as well. So he's doing a very good job, not just scoring the basketball, but sharing the basketball as well. And he's a really good 3-point shooter as well at 37%. Then you have Tobias Harris, averaging about 17 a game, right? And then you have Kyle Lowry as well. And to add that veteran playoff experience that the 76ers have, that can make this team go on a deep run. And the 76ers, I think, they match up well with the Miami Heat. The Heat this year, I gotta say the Heat, they have some good players. They're not as good as last year, I think. I just feel like last year's team that Miami they went from the play-in to the NBA Finals. I don't see that happening again this year. And they have Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, both averaging about 20 points per game. Bam Adebayo, 19 a game. And then they bring in Terry Rozier from the trade deadline. He's done a good job with the Heat since coming over from Charlotte. And this is a Heat team that really doesn't score a lot of points. They only average about 110 per game, which is near the bottom of the league. And I feel like they're gonna have to score 120 to beat the Sixers in this game, and I don't see it happening. Yes, the Heat could shoot the ball, and I feel like, but they're the worst shot blocking team in the NBA. They don't protect the rim well enough at all. And the Sixers, they're very good defensively, getting steals and turning opponents over. So I'm gonna go with the 76ers over the Heat at home, and they'll face the New York Knicks in the first round of the playoffs. This is a dangerous 7 seed. Watch out for the 76ers. And then we have the Bulls and the Hawks. 9 versus 10 matchup. Loser of this game will be eliminated from the playoffs and get the 10 seed. So, interesting matchup here. The Bulls and the Hawks. You have the 9 seed Chicago. And in the regular season, Chicago won 2 out of the 3 matchups. Bulls won the first 2 games, and the Hawks won the last one. So the Bulls, led by DeMar DeRozan, 24 points per game. They lost Zach LaVine for the season to injury, and Kobe White has shown a lot of improvement, 19 points per game for Kobe White. And he's actually becoming a reliable 3-point shooter, around 37.5%, which is a big time improvement from what he was as a rookie. And I feel like this is a team that can really, if everything goes right, this Bulls team can actually win this game. And they have Nikola Vucevic, who averages a double-double. They also have Alex Caruso, and Andre Drummond's been okay off the bench too. So I think this team has good pieces. I just feel like they're so inconsistent. And then with the Atlanta Hawks, they get Trae Young back. The Hawks can. One thing about the Hawks is they can score the basketball. They're fifth in the NBA in scoring, about 120 per game, which is a really good number to put up. And they have Trae Young back fully healthy, which is a encouraging sign, and he's playing well too. So he's averaging about 25.5 per game, 10.8 assists per game. And Trae Young, he will show up in road playoff games, in games that really mean something. He's gonna come out. He's gonna embrace that villain role, and he is definitely a guy that could walk in somebody's trap and take over it. And this is what he can do to the Chicago Bulls as well. DeJounte Murray is a great backcourt mate that Trae Young has that can mask Young's deficiencies on defense. 22.5 per game for DeJounte Murray. And then you have Bogdanovic, 16.9 per game. You have Jalen Johnson's had a big year, 16. DeAndre Hunter, 15.6. Sadiq, Clint Capella, Okongwu. I mean, in fact, they actually have 8 different guys that average 10 or more points per game. But the problem with the Atlanta Hawks is their defense is not very good. And this is one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA. And I feel like if the Hawks are gonna win, they're gonna have to win by shootout. The Hawks are actually the 3rd worst defensive team in the NBA. They allow 120.5 per game. And you could beat the Hawks, especially on the offensive glass as well. And so yeah, I just think that this is a game is gonna be a close game, like most of the games were this year. But I'm gonna go with the Atlanta Hawks to upset the Chicago Bulls, and I got them facing the Miami Heat. And then in this game, I feel like there's another Trae Young takeover on the road, and I'm gonna go with the Hawks to make the playoffs at the 10 seed and get the 8 seed to face the Boston Celtics. So then I will fill out my official bracket once the play-in results are over, and that will be actually on Saturday. So stay tuned for that, or actually late Friday night. So I'm Dan Spielvogel. Hopefully you enjoyed this video about my play-in predictions. So take care, have a good day, and I will see you on Saturday.